Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Libra November 2023 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant. Now, we're going to use a deck from a mystic called William Blake. William Blake was an Englishman who lived, he was born in the mid-1700s, I think, and died around about 1820. And he was a poetic genius, up there with the likes of Shakespeare, as far as I'm concerned. He was also a very prolific artist, and his mystical insights into things can be found both in his poetry and also in his art. And it is the art which we're going to be concerned with today on these cards. Now, he uses different suit names to those that are normal. For example, poetry, music, and science and painting, and they are ways in which the divine intellect expresses itself through humans, aren't they? So I think you'll find the imagery quite interesting, and I'm going to point out some of the things that strike me as interesting, but of course, because they're mystical and artistic, you are able to take from it what you want. I'll give a certain interpretation, but you might find by looking at the cards that you build upon that interpretation. And this work here, the works of art in here, will enliven your artistic impulse that's residing within you. And you are certainly very artistic. You have a great creative energy. Now, of course, I've done a number of one-on-one clairvoyant readings for people from different parts of the world over FaceTime and Skype. And it's been great to get to know you, and you know who you are. And I've also done a number of healings as well. Now, the gifts of clairvoyance and healing were given to me at birth, well, probably at conception, really. But the gift of healing is one where I am to receive nothing in return for it. The healing comes through me and not from me. You would understand that. So healings are offered by me for free. And if you're interested in that, check out the information that's in the description. Or if you're interested in a clairvoyant reading, check out the information that's in the description. At the end of the reading, have a look at the website anyway that's in the description of mine, because I think you'll find there's a lot of interesting things there for you. Now, let's get the reading underway for you. Now, you know there are no video advertisements. I don't have ads breaking in. I've turned the ads off in the middle of the readings that I do, because I don't want people to have their experience interrupted. And certainly I don't want you to be interrupted by ads. They may have a thing which runs underneath. I can't do anything about that, but there's no paid ads running through. Now, let's get some cards drawn for you and see what's in store for you this November 2023. This is Imagination, Major Arcana. This is the Nine of Music. This is Stars. It's a Major Arcana. Looks at the numbering on it. This is the Ace of Poetry. Well, finally, might there be something from down in here somewhere? What's this? Have a look. There is Union, another Major Arcana, being, actually you've got three Major Arcana in a diagonal. Extremely interesting, so it's going to be a good month for you. That's Major 21, Union. Anyway, enough of that. Why don't you come and sit down here next to me? You and I will feast upon the paintings contained on these cards together while I do the reading for you. Well, what an interesting diagonal of Major Arcana, isn't there? Let's have a look at this first card then, because it seems to be a natural progression coming in here. And this is titled Imagination. Well, of course, this is a deck by, the artwork is by a very great poet. And I'll speak more of his poetry in just in about 10 minutes or so. Let's have a look at this image, shall we? Now look, it's called Imagination, but otherwise this might be, well, as Major Arcana number 9, this would equate with the Hermit in ordinary tarot, but here is the light that illuminates life in its innermost depths and mysteries. Now, this is a hermit-like figure, I suppose, with a globe of holy fire with him, and he's entering a doorway and peering into the darkness. Now we can fearlessly face the unknown to find our spiritual selves, using divine imagination as our guide. Actually, the poet himself, William Blake, he figuratively shouted in all of his works, which I studied in my final year of high school as a 17-year-old, years and years ago. He said that imagination is the most vital faculty of humans and God, and is therefore the vital link between them. We dream God, and God dreams us, I recall was one quote that sticks in my mind from back then. But more than that, imagination is God within humanity, and is the only God. Humans are all imagination. God is human and exists in us, and we within him, is what he said. But the him, of course, can be her as well, because God is both male and female, or neither male nor female, at least from my revelations anyway. Now we see here the figure of a night watch. Actually, let's get it a bit closer again. We see this looks like a night watchman, you know, that sort of used to run around manor houses and castles in the old days. And he's sensibly wearing a work coat, a felt hat, and has he got anything on his feet? Sandals, it looks like. And this is saying that the search for truth is clothed in simplicity and humility. Now his left hand, that is his non-spiritual hand, has pushed open the door, and it's raised as if in recognition of something. Perhaps he sees the isolation and introspection that we must all experience during the journey. Now in his right hand, which is the spiritual hand, is this red globule thing here, which is the red globule, the unwearied sun, I would say. And he steps with his right foot, the spiritual foot, through the doorway into what looks like a dark tomb, the death of materialism that is the gateway to eternity. Now, his hair looks like it's being blown back here, which is probably referring to a breath of spiritual life invisibly flowing a bit towards him. Now I'm looking at these borders here. These actually look quite interesting, so just bear with me while I keep the focus on this for a while. Now there are two spiraling ladders that you can see on either side of the main subject matter of the painting. Now down the bottom here there's a sort of a pastoral scene with lambs and shepherds, and it gives way to the vanity of the peacock, as you can see over there, and of the mimicry of the parrot that you can see over here. Now above them come a series of birds in their nests, little birds having built nests. And I think that these symbolize new ideas, and these ideas must then be tested in smoke and fire, signifying a pain and suffering that could make the angels weep. But if we go up higher, at last we come to the Gothic arches that you can see up here. You see how these things sort of come across like that? And these things sort of vault up towards the heavens through the clouds of divinity. Now the entire border itself forms a Gothic arch that frames this central motive. Imagination is the grand gate that connects us to the divine, for it rests on earth and arches up towards heaven. But nevertheless, I think what this energy is saying to me, for you, is that this is bringing a time when you are searching, just as he is searching, for answers. Now this hermit, and I'll call him the hermit, because we're familiar with that, is the one who steps out of the darkness, shining this red globule, showing you the way. Now, the number here in Roman numerals is 9. That is the number of completion, of breakthrough and initiation. So you'll be finishing things off, you'll be harvesting, and you'll be having breakthroughs in things that maybe have held you back before. Because this energy is your inner guiding light. It is the way shower that brings spiritual wisdom to you. Now, when you are seeking guidance, healing, or understanding, he can represent the wise one or the guide, helping you along your journey to recognize the deeper values of life. And he represents guidance, I've got to say, through dreams. Pay attention to your dreams. And of course, your spirit guides are around you as well. Now, the lesson that this energy offers is that the light of love, the appreciation of simplicity, self-respect are important, as is freedom from the material world. Although our paths and our quests may seem very different, actually, it's all the same. It's a quest towards the heart, but the journey must be taken alone by everyone in order to understand self-love and then to live it. But I think that this is bringing a time for you of review and sort of looking inward, and the opportunity to develop your inner wisdom by seeking guidance from other people. Use your network of friends and contacts, or through looking into yourself. Take time out. I think this indicates a temporary withdrawal from your active life by taking some sort of if you can get a retreat, or even, take a sick day and just sit around and just contemplate yourself. Now, I think that there is a need to be alone and to line up with your inner self, discovering your spiritual self and how your spiritual beliefs are reflected in the outer world. But this is saying that, look, there's no time like the present to enjoy and appreciate the simple joys of life. Now, what's the next card down that diagonal? It is this one, referred to as stars. Let's have a look at this, as is usual. Is that Pleiades and Orion? I think so. Just looking at it. Now, here we have what is going on here. Well, really, the light of starry intelligence reveals your path once again. Now, the worst of the darkness that you may have felt is over, and your soul's inner eye now opens to the grandeur of eternity itself. Now, with his arms and fingertips upraised as if absorbing this astral, this star energy, he kind of glows in ecstasy, doesn't he? Now, above him, on the surface, we see many people flying around asking, beseeching, begging the stars themselves. But being spiritually blind, they can only just cry in frustration, because without inspiration, they fail to understand that what they desire from the stars is within them and not something which is beyond reach. Now, I'm looking down here. Here is, if you can make this out, this is interesting. A couple of things going on here. He has his left hand over a book. His right hand is here. There are flowers and herbs or herbs growing around here, personified by two separate groups of people. One, a lady hovering and basically resurrecting another person from out of the earth. And here are a couple of lovers. And the whole thing here looks as if it is, and he is himself surrounded by a halo of inspiration. But I think that this is interesting here. This looks like I get this figure of the biblical figure of Job, represented as sleeping humanity, and with his hand resting on this thing here, which is the scroll of inspiration. Now, streams of angels are really urging him to open his eyes and soar together with them, weaving through the constellations upwards and inspiring visions of eternity itself. A lot of Aquarius energy here, the fixed sign of air, which is probably fitting, I suppose, given the star. Now I notice that here we have in the Roman numerals the number 17. This is the number of dreaming, of promise, of understanding things, and also of imagination. It brings a spiritual evolution by finding your true self, the treasure within your heart. Now, I think what is the case is that this energy is offering you guidance, wholeness, inspiration, and focus on your path towards understanding your destiny in the overall universal plan. That is, of understanding what your sole purpose is here. And it reminds you that the universe provides you with a continuous light that shines on your individual path as you travel through your life's experiences. You see, when you feel lost or experience a lack of hope or find yourself avoiding situations, the star here is shining brightly on your true inner self, bringing you strength. It guides you to trust your inner voice at this time, to open up and receive the light. Be open to that light, because by receiving the universal light, you connect to a deeper understanding, which is bringing about a lot of healing for you. It's bringing increased self-esteem for you at this time, and in particular, it's bringing self-love and self-trust to you. You would be surprised at the number of people who actually do not trust or love themselves. Now this opens you up, I think, to receive cosmic inspiration. This is bringing hope and healing to you. This is a time of inspiration for you, of the crystallization of ideas, self-recognition, a self-radiating confidence, and a clear vision going forward. Trust in yourself, as I say. There is opportunities coming around, cosmic blessings in all forms. It's really, there's not a bad thing about this energy, So let your star rise and stay in contact with the earth. Trust your environment and find ways to let others share in it. You will be tested and recognized by the fruits you bear. Now I'm going to ask you something. Are you totally fulfilled in your present area of work? Check to see if you are doing everything possible to bring your ideas into fruition. And say this to yourself: I am a radiant light being. I am a star that walks upon a bigger star. My creative powers of imagination and my connection to all-encompassing consciousness, they show me the way to realize my ideas. And then we go to where? We go to this card at the bottom, which is Union. And let's have a look at this. This is really the last card of the major arcana that's here. Well, this portrays the joyful surrender with which the soul completes the journey. The major arcana is about the soul's journey from life, from the full at zero, before descending into earth and space and time. Now, I think that in the borders, let's have a look at this left border. I think that there are depictions from chapter 1 of the book of Genesis in the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament. Now, this thing here, I think, shows the creation of light on the first day. I think that the other oval here talks about the firmament dividing the waters on the second day. I think this lower left one, this is in chapter 1 of Genesis. Did I mention that? Actually, if you read chapters 1 and 2 of Genesis, everything else in the Bible is just a footnote, I think. Now, this thing here is, I think, the gathering of the waters to create dry land on the third day. Then in the upper right oval, which is here, we see the creation of the sun, the moon, and the stars as lights of heaven on the fourth day. The middle shows the creation of creatures, I think, of the sea and of the air being created on the fifth day. And in the lower thing here, we see, what would this be? The land being created on the sixth day, along with man. Well, actually, it means woman as well. Adam, or Adam as it's called, actually means earthling. Comes from the Hebrew earthling. So it's human. So it's not a gender-based thing at all. And this figure here, and man, of course, was given dominion over everything, and his pose expresses wonder and gratification for the fruits of God's imagination. Now, what I think are interesting here is that the angels in this side, there's one looking back, and that would be at the constellation Pleiades, and this one's looking right, which is at the constellation of Orion. And we saw them, didn't we, in this card here, although their angle is different. There's Pleiades going up that way, and there's Orion going that way. Nevertheless, I think that this is a time for you of completion now, of completing things. Maybe some travel is coming up as well. Burning off of karma, I get here. Now you see the world, I think, and yourself as it really is. All the garments and masks have become, well, insignificant now and useless because you are coming into touch with your original nature. You are whirling, dancing with the motion of the universe. And the boundaries of your small I are starting to dissolve in an orgasmic union with the universe itself. There's the completion of a project. Your efforts are finally paying off. We saw this also with this card here, where there's a harvest coming through. But it's a reminder to finish what you started. And I think you're learning to take control of your own destiny, and you'll be using the power of your will to get results. You could also be getting a new level of spiritual understanding. But the point is, the message is that it is now possible for you to see things as they really are. The stage is set for a new beginning or for a favorable completion of something, and the events in your life now are in harmony with the universe itself. Now, ask yourself this question. From what aspects of your life is it time to free yourself? Is there a journey or an enterprise waiting for you to set it in motion? Trust your perceptions and make a list of all unfinished situations whose resolution would give you a sense of relief. And say this to yourself: I love to travel. I love to explore the unknown. I'm excited about bringing ideas and creative projects into form. I deeply value making a contribution that makes things better for people around me, and I am at one with the universe. We turn then to what is here. The Ace of... Oh, I remember this. Now, when I say I remember it from high school. And I'm not going to talk a lot about the imagery, and I'll tell you why, but let me just say this, that here is the poet. Let's say it's him, let's say it's William Blake. And here descending is a winged cherub. And Blake, at least with respect to the poetry, which I won't go into here, and in respect to his description of the artwork, I recall from my English literature class, saw this image as being extremely sexually focused. He saw inspiration and the reception of inspiration as being an erotic sexual act. And he then goes on. Now, I'm not going to do that because all the alarm bells in YouTube will start going off if I do so. Rather than say there is more to that than meets the eye. But this is saying that your energy here is now high, strong. You have the creative spark. There is a new project coming along, as was heralded here. There is a new start. There could well be, because of this, and I will say this, a passionate union. And your, how would I put it, your vital human life forces will be flowing and surging. Now, if all obstacles are out of the way, renewal in all areas and levels of your life can take place. Now, there's a revitalizing, a renewing power that's filling your entire being with new light. And now it's important for these free-flowing energies to have a creative outlet. You can use the energy only if you have a goal towards which you can direct it. Now, the next step, after releasing the blocks, is to find the right framework in which you can set this energy to work. There's a lot of Leo around here, a lot of Virgo, a lot of Cancer. You will find that you will be full of power and energy, so find where, when, and how to use it. What attracts you to doing what you do the most? What gives you the most pleasure? And in what framework could you realize your dreams? Say this to yourself: I express my energy and power openly. Then we go up to this final card, which is the Nine of Cups. And, well, of course, it's erotic, as you would expect from this guy, obviously. Obviously, this is going to be quite an erotic time for you, a very erotic and highly sexualized time, I would say. Now, here is a young man who his head is in front of the sun, which is rising. It makes him all out to be a halo. And here are a number of fairies that are pulling babies out from inside flowers. And there are other fairies that are there, and they're carrying away and tending for them. Some of these fairies are carrying food. Others are flying around. There's this star of Venus, which is about love, sensuality, sexuality here as well. And a little bird. Venus could, well, I don't know what type of bird it is. Very often doves were associated with Venus. And anyway, this is talking about, well, obviously, because he's looking at a couple of bare-breasted young fairy ladies there, and that's always something that is liable to make many young men happy, as I can recall when I was 17, even still. Now, this is Jupiter ruling the second decan of Pisces. Now, Jupiter rules Pisces, so this is a very strong complementary energy. And Jupiter's philosophical approach aligns well with Pisces spirituality. Jupiter's also bringing you good luck and happiness. And Jupiter's softer concerns, such as care, compassion, and the spiritual life, they're beautifully expressed through sensitive Pisces. There's an enormous capacity to love, although, as is so often the case with this gift, this can be hard won through lots of difficult times in the past, can't it? But this is speaking to me for you of bliss, of overflowing love, deep joy and blessings. Now, the influence of Jupiter, I think, in the sign of Pisces creates more than just a feeling of mere sympathy. There's a great sense of blessedness which arises from total joy. And the quality of this joy shows that it is deeply rooted. It isn't the result of some superficial pleasure. It speaks of bliss, which derives its energy from the deepest reaches of a soul at peace. This is a time when you are filled with harmony and inner joy. Open yourself to it. It's often called the wish card, or wish energy, this. Your wishes are granted. There's abundance, reward for your efforts, and a bright future. Well, what a very interesting set of cards for you. Well done, you. Well, I told you that that was an interesting deck, didn't I? And I think you'll agree with me that it was. And what a wonderful month it's going to be for you. Don't you deserve it? Really, you do. Do you know what? I love doing your readings. I look forward to seeing you each month, and in particular, look forward to seeing the subscribers. You're very, very dear to my heart. Well, I guess unless I see you privately, then I'll see you again next month. And until then, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.